takeaway from the first round?
It was the way that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving have come together, right? At the end of last year, we all worried. We were all doubtful that they could figure this thing out, and they were able to figure it out. And it's that, and it's also Jason Kidd. I know in this town, we like to give that coach a lot of grief, but he is the coach that was persistent about pushing defense to this group, and defense is what led the way for those knockout punches from Kyrie and Luka. So those two things really stick out for me in terms of what the Mavs were able to do. What about you?
You kind of took the words out of my mouth. It was the defensive intensity, and that changed the moment the trade deadline came around with getting Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington. Obviously, we can go back to last year in the acquisition of Kyrie and how that is revamped a lot of our opinions since that trade has unfolded, but this entire first round series was kind of case in point as to everything that could have gone right in the second half of the season. Jonah, what stood out to you most?
Just that they're able to toy with teams in terms of who they want to get the ball to early on. Most teams just go straight to their star player. The Mavs, they seem perfectly content having Kyrie being passive throughout the first quarter, even the first half, to get other guys going. I mean, he had 2 points at halftime, one shot at halftime of that game that they won because of 28 points in the second half. His ability to flip the switch like that cannot be understated because the Mavs haven't had that body. Usually it's Luka having to go wire to wire, and now, as Joe mentioned, that cohesiveness, that chemistry of them being able to play off of each other, with each other, and they could close out games. It's not just Luka. So Kyrie, huge factor to me. Number two is that ability to get other guys going leads to better performance throughout the game. So that kind of selfless basketball from superstars is, I think, really helped the Mavs offensively.
And let me pull on that Kyrie thread while we're talking about it too, because that doesn't happen without Jason Kidd and GM Nico Harrison being able to put their arms around Kyrie and creating the environment where he could be at his best. He had great, and we actually showed it on Sports Special tonight, there were just great comments from Kyrie after Game 6. You could tell that there's a growth, there's a maturity, there's a level of comfort that he may not have had in other places, and those other places we saw how things fell apart. It's different here. You could tell it's different, and that's part of the reason why he has accepted that role of, listen, I know I can get my shot. I know I can get my points when I need to. I'm going to feed off of Luka, and when I have the opportunity, I'm going to be able to take it, and I love that. What about you, Saad?
For me, it's just the ability that they have to win games in different ways. I mean, this was a team that, especially prior to acquiring P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford, they were so reliant on the three ball, and if the shots aren't falling, they weren't winning. And so now they're able to win inside, they're able to win outside. If the shot's not falling one day, they can bang you down low. And we saw it against the Clippers too, that, if they needed to get big, they were able to do it. So to me, it's the different ways that they can win games. And then it goes back to what Jonah was saying too, that, you have all these different weapons. And when Kyrie, we all know, we saw it in 2016 in Cleveland. We've seen it. We saw it with that shot where Gafford couldn't believe what he was watching while he was cooking. And Kyrie, late game, that's what he does. And so when you're able to bring all those pieces together and you have the engine in Luka Doncic, I think it all kind of comes together in a really big way.
We have done a lot of talking on this. I do want to, though, reinforce the stats on this. If we can bring up the graphic real quick and show you what these two did, Luka and Kyrie, in this first-round series. It was pretty impressive. 29.8 points for Luka Doncic, 26.5 for Kyrie at a certain point. What's remarkable about it is Luka has only played the Clippers in the first round for 3 of the last 4 years, and his average went down this year. He was scoring like 32 points per game, but because he had that second option, it just made all the difference in the world. And the other stat I want to point out, because obviously Luka's going to average close to a triple-double, but that 1.8 steals from Kyrie. He was fantastic on the defensive side of the ball. As much as we talk about Gafford, as much as we talk about Washington, Kyrie's defensive intensity, especially on Harden, changed Game 5 and Game 6 in the Mavs' favor.
No doubt. And the other thing is, in terms of the way that the Mavericks were able to win, it was incredible, right? Because, Saad, as you were saying, the Mavs can win in different ways now, but you know who can't? The LA Clippers. The only way they beat the Mavericks was to hit 18 three-pointers.
Yeah.
right? And both of their wins, right, when they shot better than 50% from three. So their only way to win was to shoot lights out from three. And that's why I thought that the Mavs showed without a doubt that they were the better team in this series, because they're more playoff ready. Their formula is much more playoff proven. When you're leaning on your defense, you're getting those easy buckets, and then you allow Kyrie and Luka to be kind of the finishers. And listen, I think it's a formula that could continue going. I can't wait to see this team play Oklahoma City. And when you got SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, on the other side, Luka and him duking it out to see who's probably going to be number 2 in the MVP race, right? And I think a lot of people are leaning towards SGA. And man, that will be fun when that comes out. And then we get to get Luka's response after the MVP voting gets made public. This is going to be good stuff. I can't wait, Andrew.
Yeah, it's hard not to love what we have in store. But with the Mavs coverage right now, it's just nice to have both teams still in contention. I think, that there was a potential that today was going to be the end of both. And now we're heading into the second round with momentum on both sides.
First time in 21 years that both teams have made it to the second round. So we got great things going on.